As you can see, work from home is the new normal. We are working remotely, relying on digital tools to communicate and collaborate. The trend also calls for new cybersecurity protocols that protect not just individuals but businesses as well. Today I'm joined by Ritesh Chopra from NortonLifelock to discuss these points. Welcome to HT Tech.
Hi, Kul. Good afternoon.
As I said, work from home is going to be the new normal. So, what does it mean from cybersecurity point of view? What are the new challenges, and how can businesses as well as individuals can be safe?
A valid point. But before I answer that piece, I'll take a step back. Um, as a country, as individuals, as businesses, we have never been set up for work from home. What I mean is that it's a culture which has been more Western than what it has been Indian. I mean, so far, I mean, how things change in the future, we'll only know in the future. But yes, the current scenario has pushed us all into that environment. And a lot of challenges have come up. Cybersecurity, data privacy, all of these are some of those bigger challenges around it. More than business, I think individuals are more vulnerable and get more impacted because of this. That's what I particularly feel, because as individuals, we have never been geared to think about privacy, your identity, digital identity. That is what I mean. Uh, it's more been left to businesses for businesses to focus on.
So, we all have been talking about cybersecurity for a very long time, and so can you help us simplify why cybersecurity is so important, and maybe now more than ever?
So again, let's look at user habits. We carry a powerful PC in our pockets, which we call the mobile devices. We log on to various kinds of networks, whether at home, outside, carrier. What we also do is all kind of activities over these devices, whether it's online dating, whether it's communicating with our social friends, and then use the same device for our banking needs, for accessing ERPs of our businesses, for accessing emails of our corporates. So a whole lot of things go in this. Now, when you use these devices for different activities, what happens is that you have to give access to different browsers for different things, different apps for different things. And therefore, what happens is that they leave either a trace behind in the form of a cookie, or you have to, give them some lever in terms of some access to some additional information about yourself or your device. So that leaves a door open. And that is the most critical part that we need to understand. Cyber crime, cyber thefts, they're all big words. But what does it mean to individuals like you and me independently working from the comfort of our home? You see, it's the whole thing is about data. Your data individually, and your company's data, and your financial data, and all those things around it. So it all comes down to data. There are large businesses which are set up as data brokers in the back end, whose job is to collect this information and then pass it on to others. So it is all about managing your data, which is the critical piece here. And cyber crime gets related to it when somebody sees financial value out of this PII, your personal identifiable information, or some other data that they get access to.
So, so ever since we started working from home, and we saw a lot of there's a lot of increase in the number of cyber crimes that are particularly targeting work from home users and the companies that are implementing such policies. So, do you have any statistics, or can you share how India or maybe globally how this there is a surge in this work from home related cybersecurity incidents?
So yes, so one of our reports which talked about it. So look, that was primarily a pre-COVID period, but it did talk about from an India specific number that 83% of our respondents to that survey agreed that, some kind of a fraud or a data theft is something that they have witnessed or they have seen around it. What it also says is that it is largely believed to be around online payments through apps and websites is what they look at. Breakup between Gen X, between male and female. I mean, all those were fairly respectable. We found that all of those groups were quite vulnerable equally, with a 1% or a 2% point here and there. So we can share that information with you separately for you to look at points. But primarily the biggest issue that has come up that we see is that this is prevalent in both tier 1 and tier 2 cities. COVID-19 has been used by cyber criminals to leverage on the mass information that was being disseminated. Now, an interesting point that we have seen is that all of these attacks may not have happened yet. So some of these malicious codes are delivered with a dormant malicious code on them, and they may not have been activated today. So what happens is that if a piece of news came to you in the form of a link or a video or an image that may still have, hidden malicious codes behind it, waiting for somebody at the back end to activate them at certain point of time. So it's not over for sure. And this will continue as a trend over the next few quarters or maybe a year or so that we would see.
So, do you think that, as you pointed out, that there is a lot of tier 2 cities as well as a lot of smaller cities, users in smaller cities are being targeted? Or do you think there has to be some sort of an awareness and some sort of a digital literacy campaign to help them easily detect such malicious campaigns and maybe not click on those malicious links?
Yes, a very valid point, but it has its challenges. You see, it is going against the nature of an individual to tell him that don't download an X app. Or how do you know that a SMS with a link sent by Ritesh to Kul has got malicious codes in it or not? So you see, it's a little difficult to look at convenience. Like for example, I am sure that you use different kind of wallets. Mobile wallets, for example, for making payments. Now they read your SMS to pick up the OTP automatically so that you don't have to switch between keyboards and enter that. So it's a convenience that they give you. Now, how do you surpass that convenience and say that, look, log out of your sessions every time, and we want you to switch between your keyboards all the time? It's not possible in today's environment. So that's where the requirement comes in, that we got to get a little smarter in some of these hygienes, and then also depend upon a dedicated security software to manage this. And the reason I say this is that a lot of people have this belief that cyber, and it comes from historical background, that people talk about viruses being associated with PCs. So that's where it has been limited so far. But what has happened over the year is that cyber crime has evolved. If you look at it, it is not about viruses as more. It's more about ransomware. It's about data breaches in large corporation. It is about somebody stealing your PII. So it is not dependent upon a foreign floppy disk like in the past, or a USB drive being put into your device through which a virus comes in. There could be different types of attacks. It could be a browser-based attack. It could be a Wi-Fi, a public Wi-Fi network-based attack, which we call as man-in-the-middle attack, where between you and the Wi-Fi, there is a third person who is accessing the same pipe through which your data is traveling. So there are these other types of attacks which have become very, very common. And that is what we got to be careful about. Mobile devices, public Wi-Fi, your home networks. Like for example, let me ask you a question. Have you ever changed, you're working from home, you're using a broadband service. Have you changed the password of your router?
Not really.
9 out of 10 times I can guess what that password and username of your router is. And if I sit outside your home, I can block your access to your own house router in a matter of seconds. So that's how critical some of these things are.
So, as you said that these are very unique challenges in today's time. And also, if you see the how Indians use the internet, right? Most of the users are mobile first, and now there is an influx of work from home users. So, I always believe that India's digital space is slightly unique. The use cases are very different, and so the cybersecurity solutions, the protocols should be very much, they should be customized for our needs. So what is your take on like how do we personalize cybersecurity for our needs, and how do we democratize it for all of the users?
So look, yes, so you're right. So, I mean, couple of things that we must look at is that the digital literacy part is very important. Mobile first generation, very right. I mean, there's a large section of our population which will skip the whole PC era completely. So therefore very important. So that digital literacy, like you mentioned, is very important. We rely upon organization like yours, media companies like yours to, help work in that direction. With organization like ours to explain that to our users. The other piece from a customized perspective is that look, the use cases are different because we individually use them differently from maybe the rest of the world does. But behind it, the backbone, the fundamentals of a security don't change. So what would be required as a customization is maybe affordability, that it has to be made affordable. Maybe we need to break up our solutions more towards an Android perspective because India is more Android than an iOS platform. So we got to look at some of those platforms. The life of a device in our country is longer. In a Western world, you would say that, a device is changed maybe like a PC, for example, the life is about 3 years. But in India, maybe that's 5 years. But then when you talk about mobile, it's very different. India is probably lesser than 18 months when it comes to changing your phone, whereas in some other Western markets, it's more than 2 years. So we got to look at those nuances and how do we offer our products? Do we package them differently, like in terms of making them monthly subscriptions to make it more affordable? Do we increase their duration? Do we reduce the footprint of the products so that they become lighter for a mass appeal in a market like India?
You talked about keeping the cybersecurity solutions affordable for users. Yeah. But at the same time, we are going to use a lot of cutting edge technology to make it better, and there will be a lot of investment in making that cybersecurity, the entire firewall much more secure and premium. So, do you think that a good cybersecurity solution can be affordable, can be democratized to all of the people across all the users in India?
Yes, so look, very important point, because there is a freeware which is available and then there is paid security. And we have seen that debate always come up. If something is available for free, then, why do I need to pay for that subscription? So this discussion actually goes a little into that piece. I'm glad that you brought it up and we have known now. I mean, there have been enough examples in the last few months, years, that we have seen that if it is free, then you are probably at a losing end. It's been very clear. We have seen enough scams that have happened, which talk about this, where free apps are given, where free subscriptions are being given away, but then you have to barter that in exchange of something else. So there is no free. What people want is your data, and it is getting traded in dark web. So information that you and I have, PII, which has been given out, if there is a data breach, that information is then put up on sale in the dark web. And we see that all the time. There are credit card numbers available. There are your SIM cards available. All kind of information is available in the dark web. So yes, so there is a cutting edge technology involved in this. And therefore you have to make sure, and connecting it back with your previous question on, what should we look for? You got to look at what the organization, which is the parent behind the developer software, basically, is going to provide you? Is there scale? Is there updates? Is there a future roadmap? And things like that. So that's very critical. And that's where it comes. Specifically on making it affordable, look, every company sees it from a global perspective, and then you price it as per the market differently. And at a global level, it fits into some of these things, like pieces into a jigsaw puzzle, and it makes all sense. But yes, we got to be very careful when we talk about a freeware versus a paid software, and what are we getting in exchange of that little extra from a fee that is being charged to us.
All right. Thank you, Ritesh, for your time. It was lovely talking to you.
Same,
Thank you.
Yakul. Thanks for your question. Appreciate it.